Jeannie Min from the council member's office,
Mm-hmm.
and the council member O'Farrell himself, that were very helpful in making sure that that actually happened. And it happened, and the money was released, and we've been paying the contract. Canon Constructors has been very helpful as well, because they were very patient when we were not paying them, and they continued with the work.
Well, that's great.
So they had faith in us, and we had faith that it would happen, and ultimately it all came together. So
Now,
tonight will be a celebration.
now I read something earlier this morning. There's going to be a display of artwork and other things there. Now, at this particular facility, will there be housing for the homeless, or is this just a center to kind of clarify that one for me?
Sure. So it's not a place that is a home for individuals per se. We don't house anyone directly inside of this space.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty much a community center where people are able to come during the day
Mm-hmm.
and get connected to services. And then we
Okay.
also coordinate quite a bit within the city with the coordinated entry system that is a pilot of the United Way to connect people to available housing resources. So there's a lot
Okay.
of citywide,
So it's a
countywide work.
resource more than
Right.
a
That's
housing
right. Yeah.
place. Okay. Got it.
But we've recently taken some our first rapid rehousing contract. So, and we're soon going to apply for Section 8 vouchers to directly house people. We've kind of evolved to a capacity where we're able to do that, and utilizing private apartments throughout the city,
Mm-hmm.
to get people connected to permanent housing.
Now, it's my
Um,
understanding it's a real struggle, even when people are fortunate enough to get a voucher. That the other problem is getting the place to go to the apartments. Many of the owners of the properties don't want to deal with the vouchers for a host of reasons. I've heard, them complain about it takes too long, to get paid or get the program involved, or that they have to do certain things to the apartments to make them to the standards in order to qualify to receive the vouchers. Do you have information you can share about that? Is that a problem from your perspective?
It is certainly a problem. And first of all, I don't blame the apartment owners themselves or the leasing companies, because it does. It's a lot of requirement in order to even deal with having Section 8 vouchers or
Mm-hmm.
accepting Section 8 vouchers. And so that added work, I mean, it's hard enough being a landlord. But what this has created for us, especially for the housing market, is a lack of affordable housing, because as we've seen the price of housing rising in all the neighborhoods in the city, that less and less of the $1,200 that individuals get for their Section 8 vouchers,
Mm-hmm.
less they can use that in less and less places because they can't even afford that.
Right.
So there's a huge hurdle there, and I know we're working to try to create more affordable housing, but the incentives for the landlords themselves is just not. A lot of times it comes down to a business decision more than anything,
Right.
and not to mention, helping to support, in conjunction with another organization, an individual who's been living on the streets for decades and is dealing with mental illness. It's sometimes something that people just don't want to deal with,
Right.
unfortunately. So that's a struggle. I foresee we will continue to have to battle with, is just that lack of housing that's available for people.
Would it and maybe we need to look at approaching this a little bit differently. And the Lee Michaels mindset is probably a little unorthodox and different than what how most people think. But as I was saying before you guys came on, um, I look at things from a common sense level first, and then if that doesn't work, then we can get deeper. But why not think about creating housing? There's a lot of abandoned motels or hotels, even apartment buildings. Instead of going to private owners asking them to receive or accept these vouchers, why not buy some properties, raise some funds, buy properties? Then you can bypass all of these reasons why we don't want to deal with it because I can get a higher rent roll. I want $2,200 for this apartment, but you're only willing to give us 1,500, those kind of things. So if the organization or organizations or some government, the city or whoever own the property, have them come up to the standards that's required in order to receive these vouchers or payments. And then that way you knock down the bureaucracy, the stonewalling, the stalling, and everything else, and you get it done. Am I nuts?
I don't
Don't
think you're.
answer
I don't think you're
that.
nuts. Well, I don't know you all that well, but I'm assuming that you're not that nuts. But
Just a
it
tad.
sounds like a. It sounds like, yeah. It sounds like a great idea. Um, I haven't seen as much success, both because of zoning laws and because of issues related to just the cost of property. I mean, for organizations like ours, especially, even in working in conjunction with other providers, the money that it takes to buy some of these properties, even if they are,
Mm-hmm.
or find the people who own them, that's a struggle in itself.
Mm-hmm.
I see abandoned buildings all the time and think, wow, what we could do if we just had some backing behind that. And unfortunately, I haven't seen or heard a ton of support behind trying to occupy some of these buildings or figure out
Mm.
ways to extrapolate the information of who owns them, and then tailor them to meet the population who would be moving into them.
Mm-hmm.
Because the problem is we don't have enough permanent supportive housing that is tailored for the population of people that we see on a day-to-day basis,
Right.
which are people who are both battling mental illness and other maybe substance abuse disorders and have been on the streets for a long time. You have to build in support structures in those buildings
Absolutely.
to make sure to keep people in housing,
Sure.
not just get them in there.
Right.
Um, and that requires a whole nother level of bureaucracy and red tape to
Yeah, that's
get
true.
through. So
Now, what about
um,
the veterans? So you work with the Veterans Administration because I understand that there are over 5,000 veterans on the streets of Los Angeles alone. To me, that's just I don't sleep at night just thinking about that one.
right. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. The good thing is we have seen some considerable progress from the VA and other VA providers that are both in our network, whether they're from the partner agencies we work with, to see increasingly the opportunities for veterans to get off the streets. And I think there has been some hurdles for veterans per se, and how they qualify for services depending on their discharge statuses, which I know is
Mm-hmm.
something we've continually ran into. That some of the resources aren't available to individuals who are dishonorably discharged
Right.
or have a less than honorable discharge. And those are the people that I think I still consider them to be veterans, that are still out there quite a bit. And so we do as much as we can. If we meet a veteran who comes in here, we connect them pretty closely with a couple individuals who are working both with Step Up on Seconds veterans team and the Path veteran team, to get them access to services. And that is something that's been figured out pretty well to get people connected if they're open to it pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So we certainly have that on our radar. And the minute we hear of someone coming in, even if it's the first time, we get on the phone and try to get them connected to some sort of resource.
Is your biggest what is the biggest problem for organizations like yours? Is it finding the housing, the funding to fund the vouchers? What are your biggest problems?
Wow, that's a that's a big question. Because there's always something to navigate or
Mm-hmm.
figure out a solution to. And I would say the biggest problem for us, at least for what it is at the core of what we do, is funding to to provide to the type of engagement opportunity we offer here in Hollywood, to actually make and have the capacity to make connections with individuals and build those relationships that ultimately are so instrumental to getting them to be open to even receiving services. And it's hard to put into metrics, because it's all very
Mm-hmm.
anecdotal sometimes. So increasingly, we've been trying to find alternative funding sources for that type of thing. And you throw on top of that no available resources a lot of times for individuals, a lack of affordable housing, or housing that's available that's so far away from the communities that these individuals have lived in their entire
Hmm.
lives. Those are all, they all create this sort of perfect storm of problem where we've really always come back to, whether it's with our outreach team or with our program staff that leads groups every day, to build the relationships with people and just create this community aspect that, and cross our fingers ultimately that
Mm.
eventually we'll find some sort of resource to connect people to. Um, and I think a challenge that I think is encouraging at the same time is is trying to get individual organizations out of their silos and to work collectively together to solve this issue. I think we've seen a great deal of progress in Hollywood with the Hollywood Forward collaboration and both with the center and organizations like I mentioned, Step Up and Get Love and even Hollywood Mental Health to all communicate a little bit, has made all the difference. And I know
Hmm.
that's increasingly going to be an issue, to continually try to build out.
Hmm.
But it's something that I've seen a great deal of progress in a few years too.
What do you have enough volunteers? And you're a 501c or nonprofit organization, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Do you need volunteers, and what other resources do you need to further grow your organization and your efforts?
We could always use volunteers. I think as an organization, we've always had a difficult time keeping consistent volunteers because of our
Hmm.
hours. We open up early and we close early just based upon how, we try to open our doors when people wake up in the morning as they get sort of moved off of whatever street corner
Right.
or parking lot they're sleeping in. So we've always had that challenge of having volunteers, but also having volunteers who are committed to the cause, that are open to, um, leading groups and just engaging with the
Hmm.
people. I think the most important thing for that we could use for volunteers is just having people who are just open to coming in and having a cup of coffee with people in the morning. It can make all the difference in someone's life. Um, and of course, we always need resources for being able to support our staff further. Working in working in social services, nobody's
Hmm.
getting rich,
Right. Exactly.
so any amount of financial support that we can get, and
Okay.
and sometimes that comes with actually seeing the program that we do. And I will give an open invitation to anyone at 9 a.m. to come and see our coffee hour that we have every day. It's a real party, and it's been a game changer for us to connect with really sometimes difficult individuals and get people connected to a community.
So you open up in the morning. If I'm homeless, I come to your center. What services or what can I expect when I walk in the door?
Sure. So we open up for our first group at 8 a.m.
Okay.
and we call it Morning Mindset. And we invite people in to do a short meditation and have a nice discussion and a cup of coffee, some food. We get some donated pastry items. We have healthy smoothies that through some of our food partnerships, we've been able to provide. And then the 9 to 10 a.m. hour is our coffee hour where we open up our gates and we're very low barrier, and all we ask of people is a name that we can call them. And you can imagine the colorful names that we
Hmm.
get with people. Um, but that's the time where our staff really tries to connect with people. We help people get their IDs. We're a mail service, so we receive mail for people. We disperse the mail at that time.
Wow. Cool.
It's also a time where our partner providers come and try to connect with new clients. And we see a lot of individuals that aren't really accessing services anywhere else. So it's a very good opportunity for mental health providers or health providers to connect with potential clients. And part of the reason that we see these individuals is because we don't really ask anything of them except,
Hmm.
just a name and, hey, will you have a cup of coffee with me? Or, hey, let's play some blackjack. No money involved, but we have games available and give people a thought for the day. And um, that's where we start out with people. We're not here to press anything that nobody wants on it, because ultimately we found that
Hmm.
even throwing a housing opportunity at someone who's not ready for it, it doesn't generally end well. So, um, but it graduates from that to doing an assessment with a person and figuring out if they are qualified to receive services and connecting them to those services. And then eventually the ultimate goal is to get them in housing and to keep them in housing in
Excellent.
conjunction with our partners. So
We're talking with Nathan Sheets, who is the executive director at the Center in Hollywood. And they are a nonprofit organization working with and helping the homeless in several different ways, helping people get off the streets. And that's a wonderful thing. It's near and dear to my heart. And Nathan, I just want to give you an open invitation, by the way, to anytime you guys got something special going on, or if you just want to call in and check in and give us an update about what's going on there at the center in Hollywood, your phone calls will always be received here. Or if you just want to
thank
come
you.
down and hang out with me at the station and do the show live with me, that's great too.
I would love to do that.
That would be
So
so
we'll have to
much
figure
fun.
out a time
Yeah,
to do
man.
that. Yeah, totally.
So
Okay.
now, what about job placement? I mean, if you're homeless, okay, you get me in a house, but that's great, and I'm appreciative of that notion and the fact that I'm no longer living on the streets. But really, I want to participate more in the community, and I want to be self-sustaining. I want to give back. I want to feel human again. What about job placement? Any help there?
We don't do direct job placement, but we have providers. I keep mentioning Step Up on Second, which is a really first class organization.
Mm-hmm.
They have an excellent jobs program where we connect individuals who are open to that type of thing to do an assessment and potentially be open to doing some sort of job training. Unfortunately, a lot of the individuals we see aren't often very available or able to hold a job necessarily, just
Okay.
because of the type of challenges with health or
Okay.
chronic health conditions, especially. But both with the jobs program I mentioned, we try to be a triage center to at least try to connect people to resources that do that as a full-time thing, and
Mm-hmm.
make that available. We really try to create an availability for people, or meet them where they at and try to triage out from there. To if we
Great.
don't know, we say we don't know, but we'll figure out a way to get you
Sure.
connected to something.
Excellent.
We've seen some former clients of ours actually come back and be volunteers on a day-to-day basis, and some of them have even worked here on occasion, and that's rare, but it has happened. And
Sure.
to see someone come in to receive services and then to be the provider of those services it's pretty
Yeah.
exciting to
Yeah.
see.
And it's got to make them feel
Um,
good as well.
oh yeah,
A sense of
absolutely, yeah.
giving back,
Right,
feeling
right.
good. Yeah. That's great. Um, I I think that what you guys are doing is just fantastic. And there's so many different levels of need when it comes to the homelessness problem that we have, not just here in Los Angeles, but around the country. And I'd like to think that as great as this country is, as smart as we are, as rich as we are, with all the resources that we have, we should not be having a homeless problem in America. And I would like to think that in my lifetime, I'd like to see that percentage go down to damn near zero, because I think we can make that happen if we want to and we work at it and do a better job at it, as with many other problems that we have in our country. But certainly the homeless situation to me shouldn't exist, not in America. I can understand it in some of the third world countries because of the lack of resources, but we have all the resources that we need, I think, to eradicate homelessness here in America. And I'm so happy to hear that you guys are working with people who have, you know, issues that they may never overcome. And so many times I talk to people and they seem to be insensitive to that. And they group everybody in one bucket. And when I say, well, we shouldn't have homelessness, well, tell them to get a damn job. And that's such an easy thing to say. Well, too bad they didn't go to school and get a good education. I said, well, what about these special situations when people don't have the capacity mentally, physically, to be able to be self-sustaining in that regard? And they seem to be insensitive to that. So I spend a lot of time trying to educate the people who don't see things clearly, and they try to put everything in one bucket, and that's so unfair. So you got a guy here on your team, and I will do all that I can and keep the voice out there, and let my mic be your mic. Please.
Thank you.
Anytime you guys got something going on, something special, or you just want to give us an update, Nathan Sheets, please use the power of voices to your benefit to help the needy, to help the homeless.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to get on the radio and just talk about.
No problem.
Help.
Now,
Yeah,
just to give people another idea here, at 6 p.m. today, you guys are having like a grand reopening at the center in Hollywood, and various celebrities and officials here in the city of Los Angeles will be there participating in this grand reopening.
Yeah, that's correct. We'll have some members from the city and some celebrities that'll be here, and just celebrating what it is that we do here, and all the contributions of all the foundations,
Mm-hmm.
and including the city of Los Angeles, just taking part and believing in us and believing in what we do.
Excellent.
And supporting in that effort. So
fantastic. Keep up the good work, and thank you so much for calling in. And I understand we're going to have another member of your team calling in just a few minutes, so we're going to take a break and prepare for that one. And thank you again for being on the show. The Lee Michaels Show is always open to you. Thank you, Nathan Sheets.
Thank you again.
All right. Have a great day and have a wonderful event this evening. And you see how we roll here on the Power of Voices. We bring it straight from the people, straight from the source, and we keep it real because it's important to hear the voices from people like Nathan and his organization called the Center in Hollywood. Kind of an interesting name, the way they put that together. It doesn't really tell you, but once you speak with them, you know exactly what their purpose is. Helping people who have maybe special needs that are not able to perhaps get a job in the conventional sense, to be able to be self-sustaining, and help them get housing. So they may have a physical problem, may have some mental issues, and what have you. But this organization is out there helping people who need housing. And I'm so thankful that this organization exists. And we're going to talk to another representative here in just a minute, right after this break, here on the Power of Voices. You're listening to the Lee Michaels Show. And hang on, we'll be back in a moment with more.
Welcome to thepowerofvoices.com.
Hey, it's Josefa Salinas, your host of Check Out This Book, where each week we talk with different authors or independent filmmakers about their projects. Wouldn't you love to know about a book before you download it or buy it? What was the reason that the author didn't write that next book in the series? Or why did the character have to die? Or in that independent film, what really was the motivation? Come on and join me on Check Out This Book and find out what everybody's talking about.
So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open, speak with your mouth full, keep your elbows off the table, share your things, play nice and generally, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
Stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier. And it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit TuneIn2X.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
I'm a volunteer at United Way. I'm asking people around the neighborhood what they think this place needs.
Wi-Fi everywhere.
More playgrounds.
More ice cream trucks.
I was thinking more money in the pockets of local families come tax time.
Can I change my answer?
I was just kidding about the ice cream.
When it comes to getting better tax refunds into the hands of local families, what this place needs is you.
To donate or volunteer, go to UnitedWay.org.
Because great things happen when we live united. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
So who's going to do what? Flashlights?
Nowhere to be found.
Emergency supply kits.
Not packed.
What about blankets?
We have an old towel.
Cell phone.
May not work.
Emergency water?
Not a drop.
Perfect. We all know where we're meeting if we're separated.
Bus stop.
And I'll be waiting here wondering where you all are. Great. Sounds like we don't have a plan.
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency. Who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Radio is supposed to be for everyone. Isn't it time your concerns were heard? Join the movement at thepowerofvoices.com.
That's what we do here on the Lee Michaels Show at thepowerofvoices.com. We're live on Facebook, Stream Up, YouTube, and the thepowerofvoices.com website. Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon. That's how we roll. And we're going to continue the discussion here about the center in Hollywood and their grand reopening today. And another member of the organization who is Frank Buckley. He is the clinical director at the organization. And welcome to the show, Frank.
Thank you, Lee. Nice to be here. How are you?
Oh, I'm great now that I have another advocate working on the problem that's near and dear to my heart. I want to help eradicate homelessness in America. So let's do it.
Great. We're on the same page. How about we start with Hollywood?
All right. That's a good spot. Let's do it.
Okay.
Tell us what's going on there. You are the clinical director. So what does that mean? What do you do on a daily basis as a clinical director at the center in Hollywood?
Well, as a clinical director, I'm a clinical psychologist at Jesuit Priest. And it's a pretty different job than any job I've had in the past as a therapist. We use here a lot of evidence-based, trauma-informed, holistic approach to homelessness. Now, I know that's a mouthful, but there's a lot of great research going on now in neurobiology and neuropsychology that what is really transformative for people is the relationship. And as you can only imagine, being homeless in Hollywood can be a pretty isolating experience. So we use a total different approach to homelessness based on this research and try to provide a relational model. And believe it or not, where most of my life has been spent in an office doing psychotherapy, the heart of our whole program is the 9 to 10 coffee hour, where people who are chronically homeless, literally living on the bridges, next to the church, on the streets, come for a pretty unusual coffee hour. I'd say it's a better coffee hour that happens at any Starbucks in L.A.
I bet. And a lot more affordable.
So, yeah, a lot more affordable. We start with kind of a thought for the day. We use a strength-based approach, so something that's going to give people a little hope. Then there's thought for the day that any one of the staff or the participants present. It can be anything to get their day off to a good start.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a whole variety of music that gets played. There's a blackjack table. If you come out here, you'll see the patio is beautiful. Coffee served. There are picnic tables around, olive trees, and people can basically connect. That's the whole idea, is kind of starting to connect and end isolation.
So describe the average person or the type of people that would be coming to your center, and so that people can really have an idea of who you're trying to help.
Yeah, Lee, that's $1 million question. Hollywood's about the most diverse place I've ever worked. We have just about people from every walk of life, from 18 to 75, and for all kind of different reasons. We see a lot of mental health issues, a lot of substance abuse issues, a lot of a lot of people are homeless for a little while, and then they kind of move on and they get a job and they move forward with their life.
Right.
But the chronically homeless who kind of stay homeless, it's really like 2 to 8%, and that's pretty much who we see here.
Wow.
That because I live pretty close. I see these people, on the streets, under the bridges, and And the main thing is we use a little different approach to trauma, like not 911, but kind of trauma and overwhelming experience beyond what you would expect. And no one really expects to end up homeless in Hollywood. We see kids who come here to be stars, and it doesn't happen. We see, middle-aged women who've lost their home and divorces and wound up on the streets. We hear 100 different stories, but it's an overwhelming experience to be homeless in Hollywood. And the number one thing that is transformative for people who are experiencing trauma is to provide a safe place.
Yeah. Now,
so that's the heart of what we do.
I would also think, is it a challenge to get the message to the people that are out there? You say you pass them by, they're in your neighborhood and all that, but do you have, is it a part of your program where you actually go out and when they're under the bridge or on the side of the street or whatever, do you actually go to them and let them know that you exist and get them there to your center?
All of the above. We
Okay.
do have an outreach team that goes out there and kind of spreads the word, helps people with housing, brings people in. But then, quite honestly, our best attraction is word of mouth.
Yeah.
To come into this place, there's no security guard. There's, like Nathan said, there's a person who will take your name. Not because I work here, but I think we probably do some of the best mental health groups you'll find anywhere in the city.
Excellent.
It's very cutting edge, mindfulness based of trying to get people kind of in the moment and very strength based. Instead of looking at what's going wrong with their life, to try to look at what's going right, try to help people remove obstacles, whatever that may be. It could be crystal meth, HIV, Hep C, medical conditions, abuse issues. So try to help remove those issues, build on people's strengths, and help them move forward. So that could be, a lot of trauma. As much as I love psychology, you can talk till you're blue in the face and you're not going to get through it. A lot of it's in your body.
Right.
So we do if you looked at it, you'd say we might do the strangest groups. The other day I saw Nathan coming in with this big planter box. But one of the groups we do here is gardening because it helps people get into the soil, get into their bodies.
Yeah.
We do an improv. Nathan does a poetry group. I do a flourishing and recovery group. And like for that group, it's different than like a lot of your abstinence models. It's very harm reduction. We tell them don't even stop using crystal meth. Just start noticing areas in your life where you come alive and areas where you feel depleted. And guess what happens, Lee? Crystal meth use goes way down.
Wow. They get reconnected with reality.
Totally.
Yes.
And I'll be honest with you. My dissertation was on flourishing, and kind of one of the things that all the research shows is it takes about $50,000 a year to get your basic needs met, and then you can flourish. But in my own experience here doing this, the one exercise we do, it's called WWW. It's not World Wide Web. It's what went well, and you have to name
Nice.
3 things that went well with no negativity.
Excellent.
And honestly, the chronically homeless do it a lot better than me. Like, I'm always trying to give them an example, and they're like, wait, that sounded a little negative. I'm like, hold on. And then you go around, and it's really pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And Lee, you asked Nathan a question. I'm all for getting these abandoned buildings with housing because the thing we see over and over, we reach people the city can't reach.
Exactly.
But once we reach them, if you can give them housing first, make housing a public health issue, then all of a sudden, if they can be connected with support systems like we have here, people do beyond what I could have ever imagined. I mean, the transformation is unbelievable. You start with housing first, but that's not enough. You've got to provide people services where they can remove the obstacles in their lives and they can flourish.
Yeah, it's the little things. I mean, once you get a house, you can, keep your body clean. You got refrigeration. You can, have food and
absolutely.
Those are all the basic things,
A group Nathan introduced that I think is probably one of the best groups we're going to do is like you can get people housed, but doing housing retention is a whole different thing.
Yes.
So he's beginning to offer a group here on nutritional eating, and people will come in and they'll do the gardening, they'll do the cooking, they'll go shopping, and it's a lot cheaper to eat healthy than walk across the street here and eat at 7-Eleven.
That's right. You're absolutely right. We're talking to Frank Buckley, who is the clinical director at the center in Hollywood. And your focus is primarily on the homelessness in Hollywood. Is that correct?
Right. That's the
Okay.
mission statement, ending isolation and homelessness in Hollywood. We know we have the resources to do it.
Now, you know, anybody outside of the LA area, some guy sitting in Cleveland or Hoboken, New Jersey, is saying, how in the hell can anybody be homeless in Hollywood?
I used to ask that same question.
They just don't understand. They don't get
Right.
it. Hollywood is like any other city in America. It has the same issues that you have in Cleveland or Jablippi, Mississippi. It's just what you see on TV and in the movies. Hollywood is not just that. It's
Right.
a regular neighborhood.
And I think a lot of people see it on TV and think it's that, and that's what brings them to Hollywood.
Exactly. And there are a lot of broken dreams in Hollywood and throughout the LA area. So a lot of people come here to seek that piece of the pie, that American dream, that stardom, and end up being a lot of waiters and waitresses and people working in hotels because they didn't make it. They didn't end up being that star.
And that's actually the theme of tonight's big party is helping people dream with us.
Yeah.
Honestly, in my heart, I believe homelessness is a poverty of the imagination.
Mm.
If we can't end isolation and homelessness, we can look ourselves in the mirror and say it's a poverty of imagination.
Exactly. You know, when I'm in the streets of Los Angeles, and I've lived all over the country from north, east, south, and west several times, it breaks my heart, Frank, when I see human beings living on the streets in horrible clothing. Their skin is not clean, hair not manicured, and I'm going, that's an American. That's somebody that's just like me. And they're having a hard time. And that could be me. It could be you. It could be anybody. There's a host of possibilities that could put you in that situation. As you said earlier, mental conditions, physical conditions, broken families. It could be a host of reasons why. What I would hope for, that as human beings, that we would be more sympathetic to the situations that happen, to put people in those situations, that they didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be homeless. There's a reason. There's a tragic situation or a series of situations. And I know people that won't even, give them a quarter or a dollar or whatever to help get them some food because they're so suspect that they might go buy some drugs or some alcohol or whatever. And maybe they do. But I got to tell you, more often I will help someone than turn them down. And if I'm suspect whether or not they're going to take the money that I might give them and spend it on something that's not going to help them, I'll go buy a meal and take it to them. Say, hey, I hope this will help you. Enjoy this meal. Or I'll see the same person wearing the same clothes for a long period of time. I'll go buy them some clothes and some towels, some soap, and then hope that they can find somewhere they can go and take a shower. So I've got an idea, and I don't know if it already exists or not.
I like it.
I saw a truck, and I'm trying to remember where it was. It was a mobile doggy grooming service. Does that exist for the homeless? That you know
I
of?
like the idea, but I don't know of any mobile grooming truck for the homeless. We do have a woman who comes here weekly and provides haircuts for the men and women, which is a really great service.
It is.
But I don't know of any mobile unit like that.
I would think when you go get your car washed and you get it, all fixed up inside and out and the wheels are looking good and everything, doesn't it seem like your car drives better when it's clean? I would think that, and I know I do. When I take a shower or bath, when I get out, I feel like a brand new human.
Yeah.
So I think it's something as little as that, to get someone groomed up and make them feel good and smell good and, get their nails clipped and and their hair groomed and all of that, it's got to make them feel good.
Yeah.
It's got to give them hope. You know?
I will tell you this, Lee. I find that people ask me, what is the biggest obstacle to people being around people living on the streets? And I have to say, I would say the number one is smells.
Yes.
People, that's the first thing they notice.
Can't help it.
I've been doing this work a long time. A smell has never killed anyone that I've come across.
Exactly.
It's just that first kind of, it's hard to get past that.
Exactly.
And again, that's something we work on here with what I like to call, I don't have a better word for it, but wraparound services. So we have Queens Care Nursing that has been coming once a week. It looks like they're going to be generous enough to come twice a week. And we have a nurse, Linnell, who will also, in addition to be able to do nursing, will be able to do also licensed scabies care for people living on the streets, which is huge because it's almost impossible to sit through a group if you can't stop itching. So it's like if we can take care of those basic needs through something like Queens Care Nursing doing wraparound services for lice and scabies and then providing, it's a big, if you've never had scabies, I can tell you it's a big deal. You don't just do the scabies. You've got to clean the clothes, you've got to clean the bed sheets, and you've got to do it 3 times.
That's
but
right.
You know what? When someone's not itching like that, all of a sudden their life gets a lot better.
Yeah,
quickly.
Absolutely. They gotta feel completely different. We have a caller, Chella, who is also a host, Chella Diaz on the Power of Voices, and she said there is a service, a mobile service to help the homeless as it relates to bathing and what have you. Chella, what do you know?
I do know, and actually it's a friend of mine that heads that, and they do it in Santa Ana, and it's just magnificent what they are doing. They're coming together, and you have a shower where you can go in, and then you have a trailer that has clothes. They can come in and they can pick up new clothes. They do, of course, get fed. They get a lunch. And then they also have somebody there helping you get an ID. So it's about 5 different services coming together. As of right now, they're doing this once a month. And like I mentioned, she's a dear friend of mine, and she's one of the people that provides one of the services. But I think it's like truly the best. They also have those free phones. So they'll sit down with the homeless, and help them get a phone so they're able to stay in contact with their loved ones.
Excellent. So, and they're only doing this in Santa Ana?
They're only doing this in Santa Ana as of right now. I think they're testing the market to see how it goes, and they're right now doing it once a month. They are, of course, looking to increase that.
Right.
They're working out the wrinkles. They're working to see what works, what doesn't, what they can improve, and so they're, it's. But I think they're doing an outstanding job. I got the opportunity to participate once, and it's great. It's a different approach to as well.
Sure. It supplies a solution to a very basic problem that the homeless have. I mean, if you're homeless, you don't have access to, hot showers and, place that you can go to the bathroom and dignify yourself. So that's a great, and I don't know why I thought about that, and I'm sure that I'm not the only person in the world who's thought about it. I mean, but if we can do it for our pets, why not do it for humans? So that's a great idea. Maybe the center in Hollywood needs to be in touch with your friend's organization, and maybe we can get them to come into Hollywood. Working together.
Actually, absolutely. I mean, that's why, that would be great. I definitely, I can reach out to you or to that person.
Sure.
And would love to connect them. Absolutely.
I'll give you, in fact, Frank, would you give out the number that if anyone who's listening or watching the show can reach out to your organization and help in other ways, whether they're volunteers or they've got a service like this bathing service that might want to network with you guys.
Okay.
How can they get in touch?
The number here is 323-645-0326. And now that she's mentioning this, or you can do, we have a great online, it's called the centerinhollywood.org. You can get a website that you can get all the information. And as she's saying this thing about this program in Santa Ana, I do kind of remember someone possibly making contact with us about that, but at the time we were living in 2 trailers. So, I mean, we've only been here in this building about a minute.
Okay.
So it's like, we're
still getting organized.
We're still trying to get organized.
Yeah.
Get the groups going. And the biggest piece of this organization is one of the things of being homeless is you're invisible.
Yes.
And this is about removing the invisibility, removing the veil, and letting people be seen. And in relationships, not only do the people living on the streets benefit, the people who are volunteering benefit. It's a win-win.
Excellent. See, Chella? You see the power of voices?
I do see the power of voices, Lee, and I will reach out to Frank.
Please
Thank you very much,
Thank
folks.
you, Chella. Lee, you're a good connector.
Oh, that's what we do. You have no idea. I am the connect man. I love doing that because it's so important. I mean, we are a great country. We have a unlimited access to resources and people. All we have to do is reach out. And when you hear the cry, bring the tissue. Let's get rid of the tears.
Lee, I hope you come out and see the place because
I definitely will.
The other ideas of building this whole place was, sometimes when when your life gets very dark, it's hard to see the light. And
Absolutely.
One of the ideas of creating a beautiful space, which you'll see this right in the heart of Hollywood, is that if you can see something beautiful on the outside, then you can start to see something beautiful on the inside.
Amen,
and that's
brother.
where transformation happens.
Absolutely. Again, we're talking to a wonderful human being. I can tell. I can feel his spirit.
Thanks, Lee.
Frank Buckley, who is the clinical director for the Center in Hollywood, helping the homeless, getting the homeless off our streets, off of the streets in Hollywood. And let's start there. And I mean, this is a chronic problem all over America, but this center is focused in on helping the homeless people in Hollywood, whether they're physically disabled, mentally, or substance abuse, or a whole host or unlimited number of reasons why. And let's not focus in so much on the reason. Let's focus in on the fact that there are human beings, Americans, living on our streets, unprotected from the environment, from predators, people who want to do harm to them, people who look down their nose at them. But they are human beings. They didn't come into this world to be homeless. They didn't ask to be there. There are circumstances that put them in this situation, and they don't want to be there. Let's help them. Let's be human. Let's reach out to these people and volunteer your time at organizations like the Center in Hollywood. Volunteer. You've got some extra time. Yeah, you might be looking for a job, but in the meantime, go there. You never know who you might connect with. Okay? I've done it myself. Just going to a meeting, you meet people that you connect with and network, and all of a sudden you put that new person with another person, just like in this show this morning, right now. Chella Diaz, who is a host, she has her own show on The Power of Voices, heard the show that we're doing right now. She called in and responded to an idea that I was throwing out, not knowing that somebody was already doing it. It was just an idea that I had because I saw a mobile truck service going around grooming dogs, and I said, wow, why can't we do that for the homeless? And it exists in Santa Ana. Let's work on getting it in Hollywood, working with this great organization and other places around America. We can do this through networking and a little bit of effort. Am I right, Frank?
Greatly, absolutely. It takes a village.
Absolutely. What else are you guys doing there? We've got about 3 minutes left in the show. So take this 3 minutes and do your thing, Frank. Tell us what we need to do to help you.
Well, I think, once I heard, a great kind of idea of like, if you want to help, like look at kind of the deepest desires of your heart and the most urgent needs of the world and kind of look at where those two connect. And, if I told you we need people to come pass out bologna sandwiches, we could have 100 volunteers here all day. It's pretty easy to do.
Right.
But when someone like Nathan invites people to come to coffee hour and get in relationship with people living on the streets and share a cup of coffee and share a story, that's a little more challenging. That requires us to be a little more vulnerable. It requires us to take a little more risk. And most of us want to be safe, and it's hard to take that first step. I think probably what we do best at the center is we provide a safe place to start those relationships.
Yes.
And I'm not saying anyone gets cured here, but I am telling you that when you engage in relationship, all kind of healing takes place.
Absolutely.
And for volunteers, if you're interested in volunteering, a lot of my research has been around volunteers and, say, philanthropy. If you write a check today to the center and say, here's $1,000, I hope it helps homelessness, it will certainly help the center, and I'm sure Nathan will take the check. But I promise you, the person who writes that check, who begins to use their imagination, it will help them a lot more than it even helps the homeless people.
Gotcha. Excellent. Again, Frank Buckley is the clinical director at the Center in Hollywood. They're having their grand reopening today at 6 p.m., and all of the officials will be there to really make this a successful launch. And it's in a convent that goes back to, 1920-something?
Oh, yeah, I want to say they celebrated 100 years.
Yes.
So those nuns have been here. Those sisters were here a long time ago. They were here for a long time, and you can still feel their spirit.
I was about to say that. The spirit is still living in the building, even though it has a new face and new heart, and it's going in maybe in a little different direction, but at the same time, the spirit is the same. Thank you again.
Lee, I would tell you one other thing. We do a group on Tuesdays at 10. It's called a mindfulness group. And Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist scholar, he has a book, and it's called The Miracle of Mindfulness.
Wow.
So I would say, it's kind of funny that we will have that group, and we're like, if you want to experience a little miracle, let's do a little mindfulness.
Excellent.
And people are always amazed at what happens.
Well, Frank, I'm going to be down there, and I will help out. I will volunteer, and I think that I'm a pretty decent storyteller, and I would love to have the opportunity to talk to the people, and I want to listen to them. Because
Lee, I'm looking forward to meeting you.
Well, same here. I will do it. I'm going to probably be not available this weekend. My weekends are probably better. Is this a 7-day-a-week center, or is it just Monday through Friday, or what?
Like I said, we've only been open a minute. It's Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays.
Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to talk to the boss about taking a day off during the week so I can come down and help out. I'd like to be down there in the morning. If I can't, I'll come down when I can and spend some time to help out. You have my word on that.
Thanks so much. All right.
God bless you and your efforts, and much success to you and the people there at the center.
Great. Thanks for your help with all this.
Thank you. As Frank Buckley, the clinical director again at the Center in Hollywood, helping to eradicate, delete, destroy, evaporate homelessness from America, starting in the city of Hollywood. Yes, there are homeless in Hollywood. Don't believe the hype. It's just like any other city in America. God bless all. Let's come back tomorrow at 10 a.m. We'll do it again, The Lee Michaels Show on thepowerofvoices.com. Have a great day.
Who says you can't have fun and learn at the same time? Thepowerofvoices.com.
Hey, this is Greg Bell from the Rams Sports and Life on thepowerofvoices.com. Join me every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday as I'll be talking Rams, sports, and life. And you never know who's going to join me on the show. So make sure you check out Rams, Sports, and Life on thepowerofvoices.com.
More than talk, we are a conversation. Thepowerofvoices.com.